Good morning, MacLaren. Today is Thursday, April 9th, 2020. The weather today looks lovely, mainly sunny to start, then a few afternoon clouds, high near 55 degrees. The sun rose at 6:30 a.m. and will set at 7:31 p.m. On this date, April 9th, in the year 1865, Robert E. Lee surrendered the Army of Northern Virginia and its 26,000 troops to Ulysses S. Grant at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia, effectively ending the American Civil War. Today is Maundy Thursday, or Holy Thursday in the Western Christian tradition. This inaugurates the Easter Triduum, the period that commemorates the passion, death, and resurrection of Jesus. The period includes Good Friday and Holy Saturday and ends on the evening of Easter Sunday. Eastern Christians or Orthodox Christians follow the Julian calendar, and so they will celebrate Pascha or Easter next week. And we will pick back up with Elsie Piddock. We left off with Andy Spandy transforming her skipping rope so that one of the handles was made of sugar candy and the other of French almond rock. And when Andy Spandy says goodbye to Elsie Piddock, she responds, "Aren't I ever going to skip for you again?" asked Elsie Piddock in her sleep. But Andy Spandy didn't answer, for morning had come over the downs, and the fairies disappeared, and Elsie Piddock went back to bed. If Elsie had been famous for her skipping before this fairy year, you can imagine what she became after it. She created so much wonder that she hardly dared to show all she could do. Nevertheless, for another year she did such incredible things that people came from far and near to see her skip over the church spire, or through the split oak tree in the Lord's Park, or across the river at its widest point. When there was trouble in her mother's house, or in any house in the village, Elsie Piddock skipped so gaily that the trouble was forgotten in laughter. And when she skipped all the old games in Glen, along with the little girls, and they sang, "Andy Spandy, sugar-de candy, French almond rock, bread and butter for your suppers, all your mother's got," Elsie Piddock said, "It aren't all I've got," and gave them a suck of her skipping rope handles all round. And on the night of the new moon, she always led the children up Mount Tabor, where she skipped more marvelously than ever. In fact, it was Elsie Piddock who established the custom of new moon skipping on Caburn. But at the end of another year she had grown too big to skip with her little rope. She laid it away in a box and went on skipping with a longer one. She still skipped as never so, but her fairy tricks were laid by with the rope, and though her friends teased her to do the marvelous things she used to do, Elsie Piddock only laughed and shook her head and never told why. In time, when she was still the pride and wonder of her village, people would say, "Ah, but you should have seen her when she was a littling. Why, she could skip through her mother's keyhole." And in more time, these stories became a legend that nobody believed. And in still more time, Elsie grew up, though never very much, and became a little woman, and gave up skipping because skipping time was over. After 50 years or so, nobody remembered that she had ever skipped at all. Only Elsie knew. For when times were hard, and they often were, she sat by the hearth with her dry crust and no butter, and sucked the sugar candy that Andy Spandy had given her for life. It was ever and ever so long afterwards. 3 new lords had walked in the park since the day when Elsie Piddock had skipped through the split oak. Changes had come in the village. Old families had died out, new families had arrived. Others had moved away to distant parts, the Piddocks among them. Farms had changed hands, cottages had been pulled down, and new ones had been built. But Mount Caburn was as it always had been, and as the people came to think it always would be. And still the children kept the custom of going there each new moon to skip. Nobody remembered how this custom had come about. It was too far back in the years. But customs are customs, and the child who could not skip the new moon in on Caburn stayed at home and cried. Then a new lord came to the park, one not born a lord, who had grown rich in trade and bought the old estate. Soon after his coming, changes began to take place more violent than the pulling down of cottages. The new lord began to shut up footpaths and destroy rights of way. He stole the common rights here and there as he could. In his greed for more than he had got, he raised rents and pressed the people harder than they could bear. But bad as the high rents were to them, they did not mind these so much as the loss of their old rights. They fought the new lord, trying to keep what had been theirs for centuries, and sometimes they won the fight, but oftener lost it. And here is this new lord. The constant quarrels bred a spirit of anger between them and the Lord, and out of hate he was prepared to do whatever he could to spite them. Amongst the lands over which he exercised a certain power was Caburn. This had always been open to the people, and the Lord determined if he could to close it. Looking up the old deeds, he discovered that, though the down was his, he was obliged to leave a way upon it by which the people could go from one village to another. For hundreds of years they had made a short cut of it over the top. The Lord's lawyer told him that by the wording of the deeds he could never stop the people from traveling by way of the downs. "Can't I?" snorted the Lord. "Then at least I will make them travel a long way round." And he had plans drawn up to enclose the whole of the top of Caburn so that nobody could walk on it. We'll leave off there. All of you out there, take heart. Keep tending to your victory garden. Keep a pleasant schedule and a good routine. Get fresh air, plenty of exercise. Be a helper to your family. Please don't quarrel with your siblings. If it is your birthday today, April 9th, 2020, happy birthday. I hope you all have a day of kindness, friendliness, and peace. Folks, we're all in this together. See you next time.